Hello and welcome to Miss Charlotte Astrology. I'm Miss Charlotte, a full-time working astrologer, and on this channel I analyze the astrological charts of public figures, and very often they are celebrities. And that is the case today, as I'll be analyzing Piers Morgan's chart. So he is a British TV personality. He currently is I guess he is a late night talk show host at the moment. Previously to that, he was one of the anchors on Good Morning Britain for many years, and he's done other things, but originally he was a journalist, and he was then the editor of the Daily Mail in the 1990s and early 2000s, and he actually got in trouble for allegedly instructing his staff to tap the phones of celebrities. And that was to get information for storylines to sell papers. This has been an ongoing issue for the last almost 2 decades. And a few days ago, like 5 days ago, December 15th, 16th, Prince Harry won his case against the Daily Mail and was awarded $200,000. The judge presiding over the case determined that Piers Morgan, because there was evidence, knew about the tapping of the phones. And so he got upset and stood out in the front of his yard and gave a statement, and it was so embarrassing, lying through his teeth. So yeah, I wanted to have a look at his transits. He's got his Saturn return, and just wanted to understand him a little bit better. But a lot of you that are watching this, you're more familiar with Piers Morgan being a bit of an obsessive stalker over Meghan Markle. Like, he had one networking lunch with her, like one networking drink, and he fell in love with her and he couldn't have her, and she stopped talking to him. And since then, he has just been a proper psycho. You know those guys, you go on one date with them and then they're fixated on you and they can't get you, they can't have you, and then they just turn violent? He's one of those. Creepy. Don't go to networking drinks with a middle-aged man that might fall in love with you, because he just might be a psycho. Anyway, before I dive into his chart, I want you guys to know that I have courses linked below. There's 4 of them. They come with workbooks, a presentation, answer pages for the workbooks. Super important to guide your learning. And I do 60-minute readings on Zoom that you can book through an appointment. And then if you can't make an appointment, I have 20-minute recorded readings, and they are sent to your email as an MP3 file, so we don't need to meet up for that. And yeah, that's the best way to support me. Thank you so much, guys. I also have like a link for tipping. I have a PayPal and a buy me a coffee if you would like to support my little business. And if not, that's fine. Like, subscribe, comment. I really appreciate all of your support. This channel is growing quite quickly, and I'm very grateful for that. Thank you. All right, let's dive in and have a look at Piers Morgan's chart. What do I think? I think he's emotionally immature. I think he has a huge ego, and he's very emotionally stunted, and he betrays himself. Okay, so let's talk about, he's an Aries sun, he's an Aries stellium, but I really want to focus on this opposition. I will get to the Aries placements. But what you have to understand about him is that he didn't really have a very healthy home life. I don't know his story. I have not read his autobiography, if he has one. I don't know anything about this man, but he has a moon conjunction with Saturn, and that forms a conjunction with Chiron as well. So the moon is the home, the domestic sphere, feelings, your emotional nature. That lies in a conjunction with the planet of restriction and heavy karma. I think he has a lot of difficulty with women. I think he has some difficulty with his mother. I think that there were issues in the home. There was trauma of some kind in the home that has left him emotionally stunted. Very often people with a Saturn moon conjunction, they have to grow up really quickly. They have to witness a lot of things. They have to mature early, but the maturation of a child at a young age can actually stunt them in emotional immaturity as they continue to grow up and become adults. And he certainly is that. He has poor, very, very poor impulse control. And you can see that in his interactions on Good Morning Britain, when he would just lose his temper and fly off the handle. Like, it was great television, but I mean, if a woman did that on TV, she would be fired. But it was great television for him. It was very entertaining. He got away with a lot. I just think he has a lot of trouble with his temper. I think he also has a lot of trouble with rejection. I think women reject him a lot, or he's experienced a lot of rejection by women. And wherever Chiron is where you suffer rejection. And that's in the same sign as the moon, the home, the mother, the feminine. And it's in the same sign as the planet that governs authority and the father. I mean, look how hard he is kissing ass. He really, listen, you know why he's doing all this? You know why he's brown-nosing the royal family? Because he really desperately wants a knighthood. I don't know if he's ever going to receive one because there's just so much scandal around him that it would be embarrassing. But he so desperately wants to be acknowledged by the royal family. He goes to their events. He goes to their press parties. He has dinner with Camilla. That happened. Literally, that happened. He's talked about it. And so they do like him. I don't know if it's going to be good for their image to give him a knighthood at some point, but he really wants one. He has an insecurity around rejection from both authority because of that Saturn, and also from women and family and the feminine things, and that has led him to be rather emotionally stunted. And if we pan out, you'll see that there's a harsh opposition to this Virgo stellium. So keep in mind when it comes to oppositions, right, especially with personal placements, you have two parts of yourself. This is for personal placements. For him, it's the moon and Mars. There is this tension. There are two parts of himself that he cannot marry together. He doesn't know how to integrate these two things. They cannot coexist. They're two different parts of himself. It's what I call a fracture. When you have a square or an opposition, there's a fracture in your chart. You are a fractured person. It's like a crack in the chart. His moon and his emotional nature does not align with his Mars, which is his motivation, his anger, his passion. They're very emotional planets though. One is feminine, one is masculine, but they're in two different places. His Mars in Virgo indicates that he's a bit of a perfectionist. He's someone who's incredibly well organized. He's someone that does things very intentionally, and he does them with gusto because he has this conjunction with two malefics, Uranus and Pluto. That is a very hot-tempered person and a very precise person. There is this mix. It's a scary mix with him. Precision, organization, intention, and vindictiveness and anger. Like it's so disturbing. Like the fact that his Mars lies in a very harsh opposition with his moon indicates he will break his own heart and he will destroy relationships in order to get success, in order to earn money. I mean, this Mars in Virgo is in an earth sign. Earth Marses are motivated by money. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but in a conjunction lies in a conjunction with two malefics like Pluto and Uranus. I mean, how far are you willing to go to get that money? How far are you willing to go to get success, and at what cost? Because if he's in his Mars and he's achieving all these things and he's tapping phones and making money from papers, selling papers, what's he going to lose? What's the thing he has to give up? Connection? Family? Like he's so deeply insecure and he's so in need of love. And like Pisces moon is a very sweet placement, and you can see that in him. He see that in him. He has a gentleness deep down, but his desire for success and for fame and for prestige will betray him. He will hurt people. He will hurt his own family. He'll hurt himself to get success. That is the problem with a moon and Mars opposition, especially with these malefics. Your emotional nature and your emotional needs are not in alignment with your ambition. In fact, your ambition is detrimental to your emotional needs. But your emotional needs, when they are met and when he's in his moon, he feels like he has no lust for life. So these are the two sides of him that he needs to learn to integrate, but it's incredibly difficult to do that. Very scary placement. People that are born with a Mars in Virgo that are baby boomers with their baby boomers with a Pluto, a Virgo Pluto, scary. So scary. Because Uranus is there too. Like, it's scary over there. Let's talk about his Aries placements. He has a Sun, Venus, and Mercury clustered together in Aries along with Vesta. Vesta is what is sacred. Anywhere Vesta lies is sacred protection. It's where you feel protected and where you protect others. That is in a conjunction with Mercury, which governs speech and writing, communication. So that's not surprising that he entered a job where he has to do that very well. Mercury is the mind, your intellectual nature. And that's a really nice, pleasant conjunction. I'm not surprised that for a living, he is a communicator. If you combine that with Aries, which is a very determined and can be a very ruthless energy. He's ruthless with words. I think he's quite quick on his feet. I mean, he has been very good at interviewing people. I've seen him do a good job of it. I've also seen him do a shit job of it when he's in his ego. The Venus-Sun conjunction, Sun is the ego, Venus is love, beauty, and values. He's a very charming person. He's a very pleasant person when he wants to be. But still, that's an exalted ego. Like, he is a bit of a narcissist and he's very arrogant. Because that's when Aries are in their shadow side, that's who we are. Like, we can just ride roughshod over everyone's feelings. Screw everyone. We're the main character. Like, that is Aries energy for you. So to have a stellium in this, like, he's very mercurial and he's very charming and he's very determined and he's very aggressive. He is all those things. And if you combine that with the Pisces placements, it does point to someone being very emotionally immature, because Pisces lacks boundaries. They have a very, listen, I know I'm talking a little bit of shit on Pisces placements, and I have a Pisces placement. Like, it's mutable. The moral compass is a little bit faulty sometimes. They don't realize it, but it's because they lack boundaries. It's literally the sign associated with the house of secret enemies. And when you have a bunch of planets in there, you can behave quite badly and be very emotionally immature. And I'm blameless, I'm the victim. Really, he loves being the victim because it means he doesn't have to take accountability for his bad deeds. Can't admit to it. But yeah, this is a bit of a clusterfuck of Aries, honestly. I only have one Aries placement, and that's my sun, and that is enough. No hate on anyone that has a multiple Aries placements. I love you, but you're lovely, but sometimes you can be a lot. And hopefully you learn to temper it, because use the power when it's necessary. Aries is a very powerful sign. It's literally the sign of war. It's crazy. So let's have a look at his transits. So the North Node is moving through Aries. That explains like why he's so successful at the moment. He started off with this new channel or new gig as another gig as a late night talk show host, and he interviews people, and I guess he's doing a good job at it. He's quite successful at it. He's gaining a lot of viewership. The North Node moving through Aries placements is nice. If you're in Aries, you are the main character right now. We always were and always will be, but this is especially so because of this North Node. But when Saturn hits it, listen, Aries out there, watch what's happening to all your Pisces heavy friends. Be nice, be kind, because if you're not, if you've been tyrannical, if you've been a bad person, wait until 2026 when Saturn enters Aries. Make good. Do good things. Saturn is currently moving through Pisces, so he's got 2 more years of this Saturn return. I think he's pushing 60. He's got a lot of lessons to learn about the home. He's got a lot of lessons to learn about women during this time. And when Saturn moves through the 4th house, or it moves over your moon, there's going to be lots of changes around your relationships, your intimate relationships. I mean, moon is the mother in the home. I don't know what time he was born. It would tell me a lot more if I did, but he will have some trouble in that area of his life. Maybe around his mother, his wife, his daughters. Like, moon represents women in the home, so this is where he's going to see a lot of karma. You know, you can't just put all this shit out. Like, you can't just talk shit on poor Meghan Markle because you were sexually rejected and act like a psycho and not have that come back to you. It's coming back around. He has not been very well behaved over the last few years, and he's going to get his. That's why this particular lawsuit, this case popping up, I think this is just the first. This is just the first tremor in what will be likely a very massive earthquake for him. this is the first tremor. He is going to have to be held responsible during this transit. Mark my words. Mark my words. Something's going to happen. And he might get exposed in his personal life as well. So he better not be cheating. That Aries Venus, that bored Aries Venus that was hoping Meghan Markle would sleep with him. Hopefully he hasn't been cheating, because if he has and Saturn moves over that, he might get a divorce. It doesn't, listen, if you got an Aries Venus and you're married, it doesn't mean you're going to get divorced. I'm talking about him, because he's been nasty. He's been a nasty, nasty man, but he's got to watch out for these transits. At the moment, he's sweet, but it's going to start tasting a little bit more bitter. Let's talk about his North and South Node, which are not very well aspected. So his South Node is in Sagittarius, which is overseas travel. It's very expansive. It is publishing, and that was the industry that he was in. He starts off his life with this in this big wide world and so many opportunities, and I think he was traveling quite young. Again, I don't know his life, but he had a lot of opportunities. This is a very happy sign, a very expansive sign. And as he gets older, his world becomes smaller, because his North Node of Destiny lies in Gemini, which is more, it's a smaller world. It's not, when we look at Gemini and Sagittarius, one is expansive and big, right? And Gemini is much smaller. I'm not suggesting that Gemini is a lesser energy. It's just different. Sagittarius is university. It is higher education. It's those big, broad things, right? It's international. And Gemini is local, and it's familiar, and it's comforting, and it's a bit more simple, and it's the building blocks of life, because it governs your childhood education. So with his North Node here, his destiny is to learn to communicate more effectively, to learn to do the more simple things, and to stay in one place. So he used to be very famous internationally. I think he even did a few TV shows in America. He's done a lot of things, but in recent years, he's really gone into his North Node, and he's stuck to the United Kingdom, because I think his show failed in America. He just wasn't that palatable for an American audience. I wonder why. And now he is very, very British. Like, that is what he represents. He thinks of himself as kind of like a representative of the United Kingdom with the work that he does. But yeah, it's still North Node in Gemini can be journalism. It's just not as broad and as expansive as it once was. And with all these squares, what's the thing that led him to this much smaller, secluded space? What got him to his destiny? It was his dishonest behavior. His Mars is squared, his Moon is squared, him compromising on his values. That was the thing that got him there. He left publishing in disgrace, and now he's like he's worse. He's kind of like a Jerry Springer, but less class. You know what I mean? Like, that's where he is at the moment. It's kind of sad. Oh, the fall from glory. Because I watched documentaries, like really old documentaries from the 90s, and he was very good in interviews when he was a young man. He was also he was cuter when he was younger. He's not anymore. He's just not taking care of himself, and he's a much more unpleasant person than he used to be. He used to be quite sparky. Go watch his interviews from the 90s. He's much more plucky. He has more hope. He's much happier, and now he's just miserable, and he's old and perverted and gross, which he probably always was. But yeah, that is his chart. He is going through his Jupiter return. So I think things are going to be good for a while, but there's going to be some struggles. There's going to be some karma coming his way very soon. Mark my words. Look at that Lilith in Capricorn. I wonder where that is in his house, because that is like that capitalist. That's that capitalist kind of energy, right? Lilith, when she's in Capricorn, she's gonna have slaves. She's gonna exploit people, and exploit for what? Money. So he's got that in his chart. It's pretty well aspected though to his Virgo stellium. Him exploiting people for money and abusing women in through his journalism or his magazine or whatever it was. That is very well aspected to to these Virgo placements. So he makes money from exploitation. Cool. Anyway, that was Piers Morgan's chart. I would love to know his birth time. It would tell me a lot more, but I've done the best I can today. And if you enjoyed that, yeah, I've left links below to all my readings, and I have links for tipping if you would like to support me. So thank you so much, and I hope you're enjoying your Christmas and New Year holidays, guys. Thank you, and have a good one. I'll see you around soon.